It's called Danganronpa V3, not Danganronpa 3. Danganronpa 3 is that anime that received very mixed opinions, which I have talked about before, so check that out, if you want. Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony is the third main series Danganronpa game. It came out in 2017 for the PlayStation 4, the Vita, and on Steam. What's interesting about this one is that this is the first time Danganronpa had an official English demo released. The first game's demo was a Japan exclusive, and the second game's demo was scrapped entirely. Players that made it to the end of this demo would be able to transfer a save over to the full game and get a special prize. I wasn't able to because my save got corrupted somehow. For this video, I'll be using a lot of footage from the demo to decrease the risk of spoiling anything for those that haven't played it yet. Anyways, like the previous games in the series, several students who have some kind of ultimate ability find themselves getting trapped somewhere. V3 seems to lean more toward what the first game did by having them trapped in a school again. In this game, you play as Kaede Akamatsu, the ultimate pianist. At the school, she'll meet Anji Yonaga, the ultimate artist, Gonta Gokuhara, the ultimate entomologist, Himiko Umeno, the ultimate magician, K1B0, or Kibo, the ultimate robot, Kaito Momota, the ultimate astronaut, Kirumi Tojo, the ultimate maid, Kokichi Oma, the ultimate supreme leader, Korekio Shinguji, the ultimate anthropologist, Maki Harukawa, the ultimate child caregiver, Mio Aruma, the ultimate inventor, Rantaro Umami, who can't remember his ultimate talent, Ryoma Hoshi, the ultimate tennis pro, Shuichi Saihara, the ultimate detective, Tenko Chabashira, the ultimate Aikido master, and Tsumugi Shirogane, the ultimate cosplayer. Makoto Naegi and Hajime Hinata only show up in the demo. The game begins with all of them finding themselves in this strange school. They end up meeting in the gym and eventually find out they are trapped inside, and Monokuma, the main antagonist of the series, tells them the only way any of them will get out is if they can murder someone else without getting caught. When a body is discovered, there will be an investigation and a class trial to discuss evidence found during the investigation, just like the previous two main series games. If the killer is found out, only they will be executed. However, if they aren't, everyone else will be punished. Like you expect, the protagonist of the game is against the idea of a killing game, and she wants to work together with everyone else to put an end to it. However, it won't be so easy when some of the others are actually adapting to their situation, and in some cases, enjoying being a part of the killing game. Thankfully, she'll be able to find some people that are willing to help her. Since this game takes place in a school, it only uses first-person movement when exploring. However, when entering a room, you're stuck in one spot and all you can do is move the camera and cursor around. After Kaede gets started working on a plan to take down whoever's responsible for setting this killing game up, we get to the first free time event. During free time events, you can find other students and hang out with them. Spending time with them will help your relationship go up. However, if you want to move it more quickly, you're gonna have to give them gifts, which can be earned in multiple ways, which includes some kind of lottery thing, or you can buy them in a bonus mode you unlock after beating the game. Since this is a Danganronpa game, you won't know which students will be available to talk to, since there's the possibility that they will either kill someone or end up getting killed themselves. Maxing out your relationship with other students will unlock skills that you can use in class trials. By equipping the right ones with the amount of SP you have, you can make certain gameplay mechanics much easier. Most chapters will have several free time segments before we get into Deadly Life, the part where someone gets murdered and we have a trial. Not every day will have these free time events though. Things will be peaceful for a while and then someone ends up getting murdered. Instead of catching the mastermind of the killing game, someone happens to get killed and the killing game starts for real. During investigations, you'll have to investigate different areas along with gathering both testimony and evidence for the class trial. Like the previous games, there are non-stop debates which have everyone discussing the case, and it's up to you, the player, to react to any contradictory statements with the evidence you have, which are labeled as truth bullets. Text will move around the screen as the characters talk, and there will be text colored differently, known as weak points, which are the ones you're supposed to refute with evidence. However, you need to use the right truth bullet on the correct statement. There are also agree points like in the second game, where instead you shoot truth bullets at the statements you agree with. There will also be some random text floating around called white noise that gets in the way, so you'll need to shoot those words down to remove them. The next mechanic is a bit of an interesting one. You can change a truth bullet into a lie bullet, because for some reason, in this game, it becomes necessary for you to lie at certain points at class trials, which really isn't a good idea when everyone's lives are at stake. At least half of the time, I felt like the game wasn't very clear on when you needed to lie to progress. However, there are points where it is optional, where you can either lie or tell the truth. So that's interesting, I guess. The last new mechanic from the non-stop debates is called a mass panic debate. It's just 3 non-stop debates at once. However, sometimes someone's voice will be really loud so the protagonist can only hear them speaking. All you need to do here is shoot it down like it's white noise, and then you can continue looking for a contradiction in the other debates. Discussions during these trials can get pretty heated, and sometimes it can be really hard to get everyone to agree on something. When everyone's split in half on what they think happened, a scrum debate will start. During these, the opposite side will give their reasoning for what they think's going on, and you'll need to respond with the proper statement from your side of the argument. You'll have to figure out which ones are the right ones to use based on what the others say. When you manage to do that, you have to rapidly press a button. After that, it's over. Like the previous games, V3 sees the introduction of new minigames and improvements of older ones. For example, there's a new version of Hangman's Gambit where you have to spell out a word. What's different about this one is that you just have to wait until the letters flash on screen and then try to find the right letters to use for whatever you think the word is supposed to be. Argument Armament replaces Panic Talk Action and Bullet Time Battles, and it's some weird sort of rhythm game. Anyways, buttons appear on the screen, and you need to press the buttons you're instructed to press at the right time. The finishing moves are the same as Panic Talk Action, where you have to press the buttons in the right order to make a statement. The last of the returning minigames didn't change very much. The big difference this time is it's much easier to control with a keyboard and mouse. For some reasons, Truth Bullets are now called Truth Blades, and what you do is wait for weak points to show up, and then strike with your evidence. Next is Psych Taxi, which is pretty much a watered-down version of Danganronpa 2's Logic Dive. The difference here is how you get the questions to appear. In this minigame, you drive and pick up item boxes and they'll form a question you need to answer. However, you need to avoid hitting other cars while you do this. Once you collect enough of these, a full question appears and you'll be given a few choices. To pick one, just drive into someone standing in the road. If you pick the wrong one, you'll run them over. However, get it right and they join you in your car. Each time you'll have a few different questions to answer. The last of the new minigames is called Mind Mine, which has you breaking away at blocks. You need to get ones connected to the others of the same color, and you need to try not to leave blocks by themselves, because if you do, breaking them will result in a time penalty. When enough are cleared away, you can see the choices beneath, and you need to figure out what the right one is. The last new class trial mechanic is the updated closing argument. You'll see a comic with blank spots, it's your job to fill them out with information you have. It's pretty similar to Danganronpa 2, with how you have only certain pieces of information to use right away, and unlock more as you go on. However, you don't get them in sets. In V3, you're told how many pieces you need to place before you can unlock the other ones. After everything's filled out, you'll have to set up a summary of the events in the murder. Once everything is said and done, it's time for everyone to vote. Most of these mechanics I was fine with. I actually love the concept of mass panic debates and the new closing argument, but I didn't really care for Mind Mine. Throughout the game, there obviously will be even more murders, some surprising, some actually sad, and some honestly pretty f***ing disturbing. I found myself growing more attached to these characters than I did with the characters from the other games, so it hurt even more to see some of them go. Honestly, I found myself almost getting emotional in some of the chapters. While this game does have its flaws, there are plenty of things that I did like. For example, I actually love this game's theme that involves lies. Not only will you and others lie, but the game itself will lie to you. Who knows, maybe I'm lying, maybe this whole review is a lie, and the game doesn't exist. But back to being serious, I think the characters in this game were done pretty well, and I found myself liking a lot of the canon pairings, but I don't mean like romantic pairings. I just feel like characters put together in certain situations just work very well together. Of course, like any other game in the series, there are some characters I don't really like. For example, there are Monokuma's kids, which I didn't mention earlier. They just show up throughout the game, and if I'm honest, while V3 doesn't suffer for having them there, it wouldn't hurt the game at all if they were removed. Some of the characters I didn't like at first started to slowly become more likable, only to be killed off before they could be developed further. For the most part, I did like how the murder cases were set up and what the twists were. More than once, this game went somewhere I didn't expect it to go, and honestly, it executes it all very well. Most of the build-up relating to everyone's backstories is fine too. But that's where we get to the biggest problem I have with this game. While there were a few problems with the first 5 chapters, they were for the most part solid. Things started to go downhill at the last chapter. Not only is the investigation a pain, but that's more due to gameplay mechanics rather than information found during the investigation itself. But the big reveals near the end are awful. The worst part of the big twist of this game is that it shits all over all of the game's build-up, making it all pointless. In my honest opinion, if the game would have just kept going like it did in the first 5 chapters, instead of the mess it turned into during the last class trial, it would have been a much better game. Honestly, there are still some things about the twist that I don't really understand. I guess we can't get an actually reasonable good ending for any game in this series. But I guess it wouldn't be a true Danganronpa game if its ending was good, huh? Even with these flaws, I managed to enjoy Danganronpa V3 quite a bit. After trying out some of the cases again, I still feel like they hold up. In the end, this does seem like it could be the final Danganronpa game, but at the same time, it creates many possibilities for the future of the series. Overall, Danganronpa V3 is definitely the best Danganronpa game so far, and the presentation only complements how good most of the story actually is. Whether you weren't too into the other games or you actually like them, this is definitely worth trying out. You know, if the game actually exists, that is.